Does she have that?
She's got, yeah, she's got that. Oh, yeah, Huey's got, here's another one. Right up here.
No, I'm good. I can always cross it out.
Yeah, well, what I'm getting at is,
Now, I have seen this lately.
blocking of sidewalks.
Answer questions.
He was pretty serious. I said, I have another place. This Joe, I can't remember the front part of it. So I
Yes. It's so much easier.
If you could all take your seats, please. I need to be able to see Audrey so she can cue me. Thank you. Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County Forum for the candidates running in contested races for Batavia City Council and Mayor of Batavia. My name is Patty Lackman, and I am the Voter Service Chair for the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County. The League of Women Voters has a long history of conducting candidate forums and is widely considered to be one of the most capable, nonpartisan organizations in this regard. And yes, we used to do this for president races, the national level. And look what has happened since we aren't doing it anymore. So, the League likens a candidates forum to that of a job interview that gives the voting public the opportunity to see and hear candidates answer questions about issues that are of importance to them and to their families. Each candidate running in a contested race for city council and mayor was invited to participate in this forum. A contested race means that a candidate has a direct opponent that will appear on the ballot. Those candidates not having a direct opponent, some of whom are here, were not invited to participate. The League also has an empty chair policy that prohibits participation in the actual forum part of the evening if a candidate's opponent will not be attending. In those cases, the candidate is given the opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes outlining their platform and not shaming their opponent. Today's forum is being live streamed and filmed by Audrey Karp from our local cable access television station, BATV. She's over there. Thank you, Audrey, for all of your great work. The tape will be posted on the websites of the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County and on the Illinois Voter Guide. The moderator for tonight's forum is Jan Dorner, President and Voter Service Chair from the Elmhurst League of Women Voters. I'd like to welcome Jan and turn it over to her.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to the candidate forum put on by the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County. As you heard, my name is Jan Dorner, and I'm from the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Providing this forum allows citizens to become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are happy to provide this service for the community. At this time, I would ask that you please turn off cell phones and other electronic devices. I would also ask that you refrain from applauding or in any other way demonstrating support or opposition of a candidate. No campaign literature may be passed out in this room, but feel free to put on your campaign bling once you leave the room. Note cards and pencils have been provided on which to submit your questions. Questions will be screened only for duplication, clarity, and appropriateness to the office. Please signal a League volunteer when your question is ready for submission. Also signal a volunteer if additional note cards are needed. Realize that we might not get to all questions. This forum is for those seeking to be a Batavia City Council member for a 4-year term. All candidates running in a contested race were invited. The candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth prior to this forum. Ward 5 candidate James Fehrenbach will give a 3-minute statement since his opponent, Garen Sparks, is out of town. Each candidate will present a 1-minute introductory statement, the order determined alphabetically by last name within each ward. Then questions will be asked, and each candidate will have a one minute to respond in alternating order. Closing statements and continuing alpha rotation will also be 1 minute. LWV Central Kane County members will keep time, and candidates will strictly adhere to the time limits. So let's start with candidate James Fehrenbach. Would you please have a seat? Candidate Fehrenbach, please note the timers are over there. Whenever you're ready.
Good evening. My name is Jim Fehrenbach, and I'm thrilled to be running for the open city council seat in Batavia's 5th Ward. My wife and I have been proud residents of Batavia for the past 20 years. We started our journey in one of Batavia's original neighborhoods in a 1926 American Foursquare that needed a lot of love. Eventually, we ended up rehabbing 3 homes in Batavia the entire time we've lived here. We are blessed with 2 wonderful children who attend Batavia Public Schools. My wife has dedicated the past 27 years to teaching middle school in a nearby suburb, shaping young minds and contributing to the community. Over the years, I've been actively involved in our community as much as my career has allowed. In recent years, I've been creating and writing content for a popular local social media group focused on local issues in government. Prior to that, I worked on local referendums, striving to make a difference. Professionally, I'm a senior data and AI specialist at Microsoft. My career in corporate consulting prior to this role took me across the country and internationally, working with hundreds of clients in various industries. And to my wife, thank you for raising our children, largely when I was gone every week for nearly 10 years. So thank you for that, Mary Lee. This experience has given me a deep understanding of how different industries operate and their needs, along with working with people from various cultures and backgrounds. With the shift to remote work, I'm now largely based locally and can contribute more to our community. This is why I'm now running for the open city council seat in Batavia's 5th Ward. My beliefs are centered on the following principles: the importance of active and respectful public discussion and listening, government transparency, community investment with a clear return, keeping Batavia a great place for all families of all backgrounds, providing excellent schools and city services, providing great and affordable housing options for everyone, acknowledging and respecting the total tax burden being carried by both homeowners and businesses. Regarding local issues in the 5th Ward, I'll vote to replace the crumbling Fox River Dam with a solution that preserves the Depot Pond and maintains the area's charm. I'll work with the community and my peers to address the vacant storefront and empty lot issue in downtown Batavia. I'll work to better coordinate with other local governing bodies to moderate taxes and create referendum requests that will actually pass. I'll work with my peers to tackle the rental and entry-level housing shortage to attract new families and residents, keeping our community vibrant and relevant. I'll work to create more engagement with Fermilab and take better advantage of the multi-billion-dollar investment currently happening there. Last but not least, to help teach the importance of local government to our youth, I'll engage with the Batavia School District to create day-long mock city council workshops to be held twice a year in council chambers, once for 8th graders and once for juniors. Thank you for your time and opportunity to serve. Please feel free to reach out to me directly on social media or in person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will the other aldermen from Ward 4 and Ward 6 please come to the dais?
Alderman Cram.
Which one? Right here?
Thank you. Anderson. Can't get over here.
Candidates, I want you to be sure to realize that the timers are over here. It's 1 minute opening, 1 minute for answers to the questions, 1 minute closing. Hard to forget. So let's start with Ward 4 candidate Doug Eldenkamp.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Doug Eldrenkamp. I am running for the office of the 4th Ward Alderman of Batavia. I'd like to thank the League of Women's Voters for their hosting of this event, as well as all in attendance and those joining online. I was born and raised in Illinois. My wife and I have resided in Batavia for 3 years. We have 4 adult children, 3 grandchildren, and 1 more on the way. My career experience includes 30 plus years as a union carpenter, 10 of those years, I traveled the country doing training and mentorship for the union as an OJT trainer. I ran the same program for 2 years for the Carpenters Union. In my last 10 years, I've been in distribution sales for Armstrong Ceilings in Oklahoma and in Northern Illinois. I returned to Illinois to run a top 5 market for them. My career has been focused on relationships, collaboration, knowledge passing, and training. I am qualified to represent the 4th Ward and the citizens of Batavia. I am honored for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is candidate Dustin Pieper. Your 1-minute opening statement.
Thank you. My name's Dustin Pieper. I'm an engineer at a local laboratory here, and was appointed to the city council in summer of 2023 to fill a vacant seat at that time. My experience so far over the past year has frankly been an incredible one in learning about city management, city governance, as well as just a whole host of topics from utility planning to urban planning and a great number of other areas that you wouldn't even think would be relevant to a city. It's been very fascinating. In my time, I've been a strong advocate of walking and biking in our community, as well as ensuring that development in town is very long-term prosperous, that can pay for itself in the long term, and that to try to help a lot of small business in the area as well as a key focus in my area, as well as housing affordability. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is candidate Matthew Anderson from Ward 6.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Matt Anderson, and I'm running for Ward 6 Alderman. My wife Becca and I moved to Batavia about almost 9 years ago and have loved raising our 4 children, Jacob, Nathan, Abigail, and Samantha, in this town. The great schools, reasonable property taxes, and small town feel are what drew us to Batavia, but our neighbors are what have kept us here and will keep us here long term. Professionally, I've spent the past 16 years in general contracting, managing projects ranging anywhere from $50,000 up to $250 million. With a degree in civil engineering from Purdue University and as a licensed professional engineer with the state of Illinois, I believe I can bring a fresh perspective to City Council as we navigate many infrastructure and capital funding projects in the coming years. If elected alderman, my focus will be on transparency, fiscal responsibility, and continued economic development for the city. It would be my honor to represent this community as we continue to make this city better for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Kate Cuneo, also from the 6th Ward. Your opening statement.
Good evening. Thank you to the League for all the candidates that are participating tonight and all the concerned residents in the audience attending. My name is Kate Cuneo. I moved to Batavia to raise my 3 children, and I've had a good experience living here. I have my degree in psychology, worked in the mental health field before now working on political campaigns. I'm running for the 6th Ward alderperson to have someone on City Council that listens to constituents from my ward. Many people are happy with the City Council and living in Batavia, but there's definitely a marginalized group in this city, and their votes are not being heard. While I was talking to voters, the issues I heard most were being heard at council and City Council not properly communicating and researching policies before voting on them. I want to make sure all residents know what's going on, that everyone is heard in local government, and that the diverse community is equally represented. Not everything that comes across City Council is easy to decide, and when I want to make my vote, I will make sure to meet with constituents to get their input as well as knowledgeable groups on the topics. I look forward to the chance to collaborate with our great residents, businesses, peers, and advocacy groups to make sure every resident is heard.
Thank you. We'll start with the questions with candidate Pieper. What do you see as top priorities in your ward? That would be for the city of Batavia.
In my ward, a lot of it is continued business development around the Woonerf is a key focus. We also have some issues with speeding in our neighborhoods that I've been working on. Just today, I've been looking at getting a stop sign put in on a really high traffic stretch through a neighborhood that is being used as a pass-through right now from 25 down to Wilson. Those are a lot of minor issues, but a lot of my ward I feel is doing pretty well as it is. Just kind of keeping that going. There's also the matter of the Challenge Factory that will be possibly coming up for redevelopment in the next few years. So keeping an eye on that and making it a, prosperous development as things go forward would be something to keep a weather eye on for sure.
Thank you. For the 6th Ward, candidate Anderson, what do you see as top priorities in your ward?
Our ward is filled with a lot of residents. In my eyes, I think some of the top priorities would be making sure we have safe sidewalks to get to and from school. We have Vertillo Middle School in our district, as well as J.B. Nelson right down the street. So a majority of the J.B. Nelson community is walkers, including my children. So I want to make sure they can get to and from school safely. Also would focus on a lot of the infrastructure upgrades that City Council is looking at, and making sure that our water piping and everything is good for the future.
Thank you. Ward 6, candidate Cuneo.
Well, one of the major things I heard while talking to voters was the speeding on Hart. I know that that's not a simple fix, but that's something I would try to work on addressing. Also, I know the cost of living is out of control for many people. Like Mr. Anderson said, we are mostly residential, so working on solutions to that as well as ways to provide more affordable housing so more people can move here. Also, like I mentioned earlier, making sure everyone is heard on City Council. We do have diversity within our ward, and not everyone feels as if their needs are addressed and their voices are heard here. So that would be another top priority.
Thank you. And back to Ward 4, candidate Eldrin Camp.
Thank you. One of the pressing concerns I have is Route 25 pedestrian crossings, Route 31, and downtown pedestrian crossings. I feel that they should all be uniform. As I took a survey last week driving through the community, there's probably 3 or 4 different crossings that the cars have to navigate, and people react differently. People driving react differently. If they were all the same, we would have a better outcome at every intersection and an easier passage to the river and downtown. Small business and our manufacturing in Ward 4, I want to touch base with them. I want to find out what's working, what isn't, and go to work on how we can assist and grow the tax base in Ward 4. Challenge properties, I live across the street. I'll be watching any changes in that property for redevelopment, as well as the dam and the waterfront. Taxes are a big concern. A lot of people have stated that it's getting hard to cost of living.
Thank you. Candidate Anderson, what is your vision for the riverfront in the downtown area, and do you have any specific plans regarding the Batavia Dam?
Regarding the dam, I know just recently that the Army Corps of Engineers is looking into doing another environmental study. So I think we need to wait for that to come back, as well as get up-to-date costs on that. I believe the previous cost figures from 2018, and for Bay construction, there's been a major increase in cost of construction since then. For downtown, we've got some really good foundations there with the Comedy Vault, with Sturdy Shelter. We're starting to see more restaurants. We need to keep supporting them and start drawing more people there. I think a lot of that will help if we can get the parking figured out. We have some parking down there, but to start drawing more and more investors into downtown, we really need to figure out the parking issue around River Street.
Thank you. Candidate Cuneo.
So as far as the dam goes, I know that there are a few different options and all have been explored. Some do seem more favorable than others, and I have talked about this with some people. If elected, I'll just continue to work with groups, with the residents, hear what they want, hear what the environmentalists say, and be very transparent about what each option will cost us, because I believe the more favorable one is also more expensive to us. As far as the riverfront and downtown, I also agree we have a great downtown area. I love all the small businesses here. And while we might not be able to do much directly to help them stay open, we can make sure that they are aware of any grants available, and there are some programs we can help facilitate to keep those businesses strong and going.
Thank you. Candidate Eldrin Camp.
Well, my vision for downtown is, first of all, looking at the dam removal, working with the Park District. They're in favor of a plan to remove the dam, put in some whitewater. It may raise taxes, but that's a few years off and still developing. The downtown area, if you're following, the Tin Shack is going to be put up for sale or demolished. And I'd like to see some high-rise residential that complements the area and increases the tax base and brings residents to the downtown area. I would continue to support Main Street in their efforts. And again, make it a walkable, bikeable downtown that everybody can enjoy.
Candidate Pieper.
Regarding the dam, I was, when it came up before council, I was more a proponent of the smaller scale solution, but since then it's been voted to go with the rock weir solution, which would include the whitewater rafting segment, and I'll support that going forward, considering that's what it is, although it's going through engineering studies right now to get final cost. We may have to revisit that at that time, as well as just working with the Army Corps and all adjacent stakeholders is going to be a part of that. As for the broader downtown area, we definitely could do more to activate our waterfront properties. There's some of that going in now. There's going to be a new series of patios at Surrey Shelter, for instance, which I'm really excited about. But that's going to go along with development. And I definitely agree we could stand to have a lot more residential downtown to provide a healthy economic base for our local businesses who would be more likely to use businesses in our downtown simply due to convenience. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Cuneo. There's two questions here that are pretty much the same, but let me read both of them. What will you do to make Batavia safer for pedestrians and bikers? And what are 3 actions you would push to make Batavia more bike friendly and walkable?
Okay. So I know that we do have bike paths on quite a few roads, but they're not everywhere. One thing I have seen also are the blinking signs by the crossing for the Prairie Path. I do like those. It still scares me every time I drive down there, though. So anything to try and make everything more visible for cars that make, and also keep bikers safer on the street. Sorry, I took up too much time on that one. So 3 actions would be talking to residents to see what exactly the areas they feel the least safe, why, talk to professionals that can tell us the best way and the most effective way to make those changes, and then talk to the community about, again, what that's going to cost, what the plan is, how we researched it, and came to that conclusion.
Thank you. Candidate Eldrin Camp.
Yeah, so I stated before, uniform crossings would make everything safer for the bikes and for pedestrians. Signage, increasing signage for the bikes, as well as, like I said, the pedestrian crossings would create for safer times. We do have a lot of e-bikes. We'll have to visit e-bikes at some point in time, how we're going to handle that on the trails, because that does create a hazard. I want to continue. I've met with some people with the Transport Committee, and one of their concerns was that they feel that they're siloed, that they're working alone and they're not being supported. I want to make sure that I get to those meetings, hear what their concerns are, and bring them back to City Council.
Candidate Pieper.
Over the past 2 years, I've also worked a lot with the Batavia Active Transportation Advisory Commission, formerly the Bike Commission, to try to help them feel like more part of the process. Things we can do downtown. We do have a long-term bike and pedestrian plan that is gradually being unrolled, but I definitely think the key is to create a comprehensive network around town. It's pretty easy to go north-south by bike and by walking right now, but east-west is a bit trickier. Things like the Route 31 road diet have gone a long way to improve that, and that will be entering its next phase in the next couple years. To hit the downtown area where there's definitely a lot more pedestrianism around. Other than that, I'd like to see us start installing more protected intersections and protected bike lanes. Right now, there's concerns about maintenance of those in the wintertime due to snow removal, but I think if we can have a critical mass of them, it will make it easier to purchase the equipment needed to do that and be an easier sell effectively.
Thank you. Candidate Anderson.
Sound a little bit like a broken record here. I think we all can agree there's There's stuff we can do, the bike pass, looking for having uniform signage, crosswalks. I think we all can agree that's the way to go. I believe there is a study going on, just understanding the quantity of bikes in certain areas, so we can understand if we need to be putting bike lanes in. So that's just something just to keep in mind as we go forward.
Thank you. Candidate Eldrenkamp. What role should the city play in assisting small businesses and startups, including potential tax incentives, grants, or financial tools?
So I think it's very important that we continue to grow the downtown area with small business through Main Street and the boardwalk shops. Those programs are proving very effective. The hits on the website are going up constantly. The reports that I'm seeing is that we're attracting people from out of town, and that means their dollars are coming here. They're having an enjoyable time, and that's helping with our tax base. We need to make sure that we offer incentives to come in, and we need to support them so they stay. That's the biggest thing with the small shops, and then encourage the city of Batavia to support small business.
Thank you. Candidate Pieper.
Building off of that, the boardwalk shops have definitely been a great business incubator. A lot of trouble that business owners there have moving to the next step is finding locations that are a reasonable next size for them, since a lot of commercial properties tend to be very large, much larger than a smaller retail store can handle. So encouraging development that has those smaller units would be a good start, possibly, especially even through zoning reform and options like that. Other than that, it's just continuing to format that business community in the area, especially through the excellent work that Main Street has done, and helping provide, again, a more steady consumer base just by encouraging residential in our downtown as well. That can especially be a part of that development towards smaller scale commercial units.
Thank you. Candidate Anderson.
I'd agree with what they've both been saying. Partnering with Main Street has been shown to be very effective, so continuing to help fund that and partner with them. I would also agree looking for ways to take that next step from the boardwalk shops. I think there's opportunities along River Street for some development, but you need to be able to entice these investors to come in and really partner with some of those investors to build that. So those are the two straight away, and then just pushing for that small business and letting everybody know about what's available here.
Thank you. Candidate Cuneo.
I also agree, very well said. In addition, like I think I mentioned earlier, we can help our buildings, I think, with facade, like grants on city council. So while that might not keep them open specifically, making any updates that they need to have done to make it more attractive to bring people back, if they're losing clientele, we can help with that. There are state level grants. While we can't do that, we can certainly make sure, like someone else said, that small business owners know all the help and services that are available to them to help with the wide range of why they might be struggling. And just continue to, yes, get people to support small businesses and continue to promote our businesses to neighboring areas, so we bring other people from other cities to come spend money here.
Thank you. Candidate Pieper. Batavia has hired the Brattle Group to prepare an energy study called an Integrated Resource Plan. Explain how you will commit to actively make certain that Batavians have multiple opportunities to provide input into the writing of that plan and the recommendations it makes about the Prairie State Coal Plant and alternative energy sources.
So a key aspect of integrated research planning, for those who, that sounds like a very technical term, it's literally getting a better understanding of the current energy market, so that as we may hope to transition to other power sources as Prairie State winds down closer to the 2040s, we can know what's available and make that decision, with good knowledge ahead of us. To keep citizens informed, I think it's pretty clear that the best way is to get out in the community and see what sort of power sources folks are most eager for, with knowing the trade-offs between them as well. And that can include an immediate stakeholder session, ideally even possibly through the utility, through surveying, potentially. Beyond that, I also think it'd be worthwhile to look at alternative rate schemes for folks who, say, have electric vehicles who might prefer a discounted charge overnight when often power costs are different because the load is different, in order to make things more flexible for everybody in their given circumstance.
Thank you. Candidate Anderson.
So when the NIPA agreement went into effect in 2007, we signed a pretty long-term agreement. And I think at the time that city council was doing what they felt best. I don't think they were able to really look to the future too much to see all the different alternate energy sources that we have now. So really talking to the NIPA ownership group and working with them to see what we can do with the agreement. I mean, we're still locked into that agreement for another 20 years. So I think starting these studies is great, and having constituents be a part of that and feel like their voice is being heard is very important. But unfortunately, I think we also have to have some feedback from the other municipalities that are part of that agreement group.
Thank you. Candidate Cuneo.
So yes, I also think that the Prairie State Plan is very complicated and trying to find an exit strategy to get out of it because of the way the contract was written. But I do want to explore that. I think, again, it's complicated. I don't know everything about the issue. I'll be the first to admit that. So I would want to have community meetings with members, with experts. We can include people from Prairie State, but I'd be more interested in hearing from like environmental groups that have some good ideas on how we can work to get out of that and focus more on some more climate-friendly energy. I feel like Prairie State would just tell us to stick with them.
Thank you. Candidate Eldrenkamp.
Yeah, so the study with the battle group came up in a few meetings ago. It's state mandated. If you heard the cost of it, it's quite expensive, but it's been budgeted for. Not totally. They're going to build into that budget. I would be welcome to have feedback from the community going forward. The long-term contract that was signed was based on the times. There's been a lot of advancement in electrical transmission, lighting, things that save power and save energy. So our needs are changing from when that was signed. Basically, we just kind of have to step back, assess our needs, assess the wants, make sure we have the power we need for the future, but make sure it's affordable for the community.
Thank you. Candidate Anderson. With parts of Batavia transforming with the construction of larger, more expensive homes, how do you respond to residents who feel it is becoming too expensive to remain in their modest homes?
I think we all can agree that we're seeing the property taxes go up. The city council is only really in charge of 7% of that. There's a lot of other tax bases that are part of those taxes, but one way to keep our tax base down at city council is to really incentivize economic development so that the constituents are not paying any overage and any tax levies. So in my eyes, there's opportunities there just to continue with the economic development. And really, I would welcome any other discussions about looking at ways that we can try to get some affordable housing in to some of these deals. Unfortunately, what we've seen with some of that, like in the city of Chicago, is that does start to hamper some of the investors because at the end of the day, if there's too much, they're not going to want to invest. So.
Thank you. Candidate Cuneo.
This is also, I think, a tricky question because as far as city council goes, I don't know exactly how much we can do from keeping the more expensive homes coming in, driving up property values that will, which means our taxes will be higher. I do agree that making sure we bring in a lot of businesses and growth will offset some of those taxes. We can also work on finding those tax breaks for climate-friendly things that lower your bill and also give you some incentive from the state. And that's also, again, something I'm not super well-versed on, so I would look to professionals and other cities who might have done a good job of this to learn from them and see the best course of action.
Thank you. Candidate Eldrenkamp.
Yes, so looking at property taxes and new construction, Batavia is landlocked. At some point in time, we're going to only be able to expand so far. Yes, the new housing is expensive, but all housing anywhere you go right now is. Older homes and newer homes need updating. I think the village has done a good job so far in working with homeowners to lessen fees for remodeling, things like that. But I will say, in the way of property taxes, it's important that we know that Kane County sets most of the multipliers on that, and it affects the city residents. What we can do is bring in retail, bring in a bigger taxing body through buying things, and we also need to study the bag tax and see how many residents are shopping outside of our city. How much are we losing?
Candidate Peeper.
So it's fair to say, nationally as well as in Batavia, we're in a bit of a housing crisis. And that's probably the biggest thing driving up housing costs. My own home, since I moved here only about 3 years ago, has gone up about $60,000 in value if you base, commercial estimates as being trustworthy on that. So it's really a matter of supply. The other side of it is often right now development is stacked towards very large developers who like to build those expensive homes because that's where they get the most margin from. And because they're a big developer, they have the money to throw around to build very large houses. Key to that is trying to develop more of an incremental development community here in town where ordinary citizens can maybe build a smaller home either adjacent to their property or in infill areas in town, including the potential for opening up more duplexes and triplexes, because by adding those opportunities, you're expanding a tax base just through more residents in town, as well as providing cheaper housing with the existing sort of framework of the city.
Thank you. Candidate Cuneo. A speed study recently was conducted and supported lowering the current 30 mile per hour to 25 mile per hour. 12 or more surrounding cities have 25 mile per hour speed limits. Do you support lowering the current speed limit from 30 to 25?
I do support lowering the current speed limit. However, I don't know if that's the most, or should I say in addition to lowering the speed limit, I think we do need to talk about the cost and the ability to modify some of the roads. That could also include, and when we do bike paths and crosswalks as well. I know the city itself doesn't own all of our roads, but studies have shown that signage itself doesn't seem to have that much of an impact on speeding, whether it's more about making the roads less comfortable to speed on. So yes, I support the lowering the speed limit, but there's more we need to do to make sure that's enforced.
Thank you. Candidate Eldrenkamp.
So especially on Route 31 and Route 25, speed limit on the Route 31 needs to mirror with the north and the south. Right now, it's higher than. I've been attending city council meetings. There's been residents here stating that people are passing in the center lane, people are speeding. And I will say their voices have been heard. If you drive now on the south end of 31, you will see a lot of presence of the Batavia police. And that was almost instantaneous. I hope that's bringing the speed down for the residents. But changing all of the speed limits to 25, I think it would have to be studied on a case by case. But right now, our state routes, we need to have the speeds lowered. People are pulling in, people are backing into their driveways because they can't back out during when they leave for work. My talks with some of the residents on Route 25, they do have a concern about traffic on the state roads.
Thank you. Candidate Peeper.
I definitely also support a reduction to 25 miles per hour and certainly acknowledge that that really just sets the tone, and it's going to require extensive, what we'd call traffic calming is the full name of it. That involves using proven street designs known to reduce traffic speeds, especially in neighborhoods where we have a lot of our collector roads, like Hart Road, for instance, or not Randall, that's definitely not collector, but Main Street, Wilson Street. That can involve adding in bike lanes. It can also involve adding in what are called bump outs, which reduce the crossing distance at crosswalks, which not only slow down cars by visually narrowing the street, but it also allows folks to more easily cross the street there and can even help protect parked cars in that area by having them not be the only method of jetting out as much into the driving way there. it really is going to be like a pretty comprehensive thing that we have to do as we continue to repave roads during their natural life cycle, as well as through targeted areas as well.
Thank you. Candidate Anderson.
Yeah, I'd want to see a study to see how much impact reducing it to 25 miles an hour would cause. I think there is other things that need to be done. Signage has not been the answer. I mean, I live 2 houses down from a stop sign across the street from a park, and I can't tell you the number of people that blow through that stop sign every single day. So signage is never the answer. I think there is more of a transportation design that can be done to help to help really physically minimize reduce the speed limit, other than just putting a sign up.
Thank you. Candidate Eldrenkamp. Do you support the actions outlined in the Greenest Region Compact and Climate Action Plans, both adopted by the City of Batavia?
I do. The long term, like I said, I believe that we have to enact policies that sustain our environment. And then I think it's important that we work together to do the best thing, study what we need to, enact what we need to, and like I said, make Batavia green. I did say that I want to study the bag tax only because I feel we are losing revenue from citizens shopping outside the community. And the fact that other communities near us haven't adopted that same tax is the reason why they're leaving.
Candidate Pieper.
I'm also a supporter of the Greenest Region Compact. Also would recommend folks out there to check out the Kane County Climate Action Plan. It's very well laid out, very readable, I would say, on things that both the government and individual folks can do to achieve, their climate goals here in town. I think really the biggest thing we do is going back to walkability and bikeability, since that is one of our largest emission sources in town, not counting the Prairie State Coal Plant, of course, which that's going to be a thornier issue. So in the meantime, making it easier to walk and bike to make that a viable alternative to driving would go a long way, as well as providing some incentives, partially through the bag fee fund, towards electrification in homes where it makes sense, as well as what we're called energy use studies in homes to point out where you can have less leakage of warm air during the winter months, for instance, would go a long way to helping our emissions as well.
Thank you. Candidate Anderson.
I would agree that the environmental sustainability is a very important thing for our community and to the environment in whole. I think there is a balance that we have to look at to make sure that we can still bring in investors. You don't want to put too much on them to where this is not an investor-friendly community. So I think there is a balance, but I would agree that that is something that needs to be a top priority for our town.
Thank you. Candidate Cuneo.
I am glad that the City of Batavia is or did agree to adopt the Greenest Region contract goals. I do understand that that causes changes, and I myself only read up on a little bit of it. I haven't had time to read the entire thing, but that's another thing I think we need to keep an open communication on. Residents of Batavia need to know what that means and how that impacts them, as well as business owners. And if people are finding that it is making things getting difficult to get people, new businesses here, that's something we can reach out to climate activist groups and experts on this deal to see how we can facilitate both. But I am a strong supporter of this, and I want to keep seeing Batavia moving towards more climate initiatives and sustainability.
Thank you. Candidate Pieper. How do you plan to increase city code compliance, such as trees, bushes, etc., blocking sidewalks?
Blocking sidewalks?
Trees and bushes, blocking sidewalks.
Ah, I see. So overgrown trees over the sidewalk or overgrown bushes. That's an interesting one. I think having simpler reporting mechanisms is a first start. Some communities have what's called See Click Fix, which is an app that you can just take a picture, or you can also just send it to the city, take a picture of something, and help the city know where there might be a compliance issue like that's affecting the public realm, as well as infrastructure problems that might be occurring. That's a part of it, just kind of keeping tabs on it and knowing where issues are occurring, because some neighborhoods are fairly remote. it's not always easy for the city to know that there's an issue there. And just kind of maintaining it from there and making it a priority is the key to it.
Thank you. Candidate Anderson.
I would agree that making it easier to report is probably the fastest way to do that. There's not enough people on city staff to walk and review every single street in the city, so having an ease of reporting it would really definitely take care of it.
Thank you. Candidate Cuneo.
I also like the idea of the app. I think that would be very helpful and most immediate. But like I said a few times, one of the main things I will do if elected is meet with constituents often and hear what you are concerned about often. So I think the more we have that open communication, the easier I will know immediately if there's an area that needs to be improved, whether it's trimming back bushes and trees or something else.
Candidate Eldrin Camp.
So my path to running for office started with a code issue that I researched. I went to City Hall, I met with somebody, they gave me a timeline for a correction, and they exceeded it. I was so thrilled with how I was handled and how the concern was handled, but they've taken it a step further. They've gone to start checking other code violations. Now, as for grass or shrubs over the sidewalk, feel free to reach out to your alderman. They're going to get in touch with the right people to get that taken care of. Ultimately, that's your first stop, working with your local representation. Now, an app is great, but it's still going to be a little ways off before that comes online. But right now, get with your alderman. You have 2 in each ward, and they should be able to get the message to the right people in city government to take care of your concerns.
Thank you. This will be the 10th and last question. And we'll start with candidate Anderson. Whose voices do you believe are most underrepresented? How will you reach out to these groups?
Good question. Probably the most underrepresented groups and voices are the ones that aren't being heard, obviously. So I think being able to hold meetings that are open to everybody and getting that information out to your ward is very important. Being available, whether it's at a ball field, by the school, anywhere in the community. I think I'm someone that is more than willing to talk to anybody when you're walking around the neighborhood or walk around the community. So I think being available helps, but being also proactive and trying to look for those voices that aren't being heard.
Thank you. Candidate Cuneo.
Well, I think that there are voices that are not heard and then voices that are not represented. I think we sometimes do listen to people who are coming out, but that doesn't seem to affect how city council votes on issues. So I will make sure that I am knocking on doors, very accessible, sending out emails, but talking to constituents, not only about what they want, but making sure that the rest of the city council knows this is what's happening in my ward, this is what needs to be done. And then there are also just marginalized communities or outreach that's not being done. Again, I will work very hard to talk to every single person in my ward, make sure they know what's going on, and make sure that I get their input before I make a vote on anything, and make sure their needs are put on the agenda and the city council can discuss it.
Thank you. Candidate Eldrin Camp.
Yeah, so getting out and getting people aware of this election is the key. Getting people in a non-presidential election to vote has always been hard in Illinois. We are piggybacking off the general election, and now we have the mayoral race as well as our races. So there's going to be interest in this, which is encouraging. But I intend to knock on every door. I want to either leave behind or meet the person behind the door, talk to them about their issues. I've been attending city council meetings since June, and I'd say to anybody online and here, please join me and become knowledgeable on what's going on here. And there's good things happening here. There's great things happening in this city, but it takes the people to tell us what they want and what is needed so we can act appropriately.
Candidate Pieper.
One group, I would say, is folks who often are very busy and aren't able to keep up necessarily with what's going on in the city. One thing I've been doing to help reach out to them is publishing a weekly newsletter outlining everything that happened at city council and adjacent committees and commissions, just to help inform voters of what's going on in an easy, straightforward, very dry but just the facts kind of statement. By the way, if you're interested in signing up for that newsletter, reach out to me after the meeting through my city email will be fine. But the other side is just folks of lesser means. Oftentimes, they don't feel like they can, have a voice in the community. One thing I've done is work with folks at Batavia Apartments to try to understand their needs. I went to a trunk or treat actually this past Halloween, which was a great time. And I've been working on helping provide transit opportunities to them through an existing Fermilab shuttle service that I'm working with PACE on to help meet their needs better. Thank you.
So let's start with closing statements, and let's start with candidate Cuneo. 1 minute.
Thank you for your attention and giving me the time to speak this evening. I'll make this brief. I'm a Batavia resident, working mother of 3, and heavily invested in our community. If elected, I will make sure that every resident of the 6th Ward knows what is going on at council. I will reach out for feedback on the issues as well as collaborate with experts on the topics. And I will sit down with you and listen to your needs. I won't always have the answer, but I will work tirelessly to make sure that I serve the 6th Ward to the best of my ability. I will work for a Batavia that is welcoming and safe with a transparent local government that works for all residents. Thank you, League of Women Voters, the candidates coming out tonight, and our invested residents. I look forward to earning your vote by April 1st.
Thank you. Candidate Eldrin Camp.
Batavia is a blend of historic roots and a vibrant modern spirit. We're a town of manufacturing and independently owned shops, welcoming cafes and pubs. But it's our people who sets us apart from our neighboring communities. You are the heartbeat of this, and like I said, we're looking ahead for opportunity and the challenges ahead. Together, we will solve those problems and make this place a better community. It would be an honor to represent all who live here in Ward 4 and the citizens of Batavia to continue to manage growth, provide the best services, and plan our path into the future, striving to keep Batavia the city you move to for years to come. I ask for your vote on or before April 1st, and when elected, your voice will be heard, you will be represented. Thank you.
Thank you. Paper.
So when I moved to Batavia a few years ago, I did it because I could tell it was just a very special place. As we say, it has very good bones from which to continue to grow. It really is a beautiful foundation of a town. It has so much history to it, like, frankly, an insane amount of history. We're older than Chicago. I don't know if anybody knew that. It's incredible. And just as soon as I got here, I was excited to come and get involved with the city. The first week I was here, I attended a city council meeting, partially because none of my furniture had arrived yet. I didn't have anything else to do, but also because I could tell that there was something magical about this town, and it was somewhere I felt like I could very easily and comfortably get involved. And I like to think I've done that a bit so far already. And I know there's so many opportunities for everyone here to hopefully also make that reach, not just in city council, but through the many excellent organizations in town that I hope to continue to grow and prosper in my role here. Thank you.
Thank you. Our time is up for this forum. Thank you to the city of Batavia. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I'm kind of hit blocked in here. It's good.
Yeah.
I first want to say
Candidate
thank you.
Anderson, you have a minute.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you to the League of Women Voters and their partners for hosting this candidate forum. Also want to say thank you to all the candidates that took time out of their schedules to participate. My roots run deep in this town, as my great-grandfather, Emily Anderson, and my great-great-grandfather, John Anderson, among other family members, are buried in the West Batavia Cemetery off Route 31. A colleague of mine once described Batavia as the hidden gem on the Fox River, and I couldn't agree more. I'm extremely proud to call Batavia my home. Over the past 5 years, I've had the pleasure of meeting many amazing families while coaching my older boys in basketball, baseball, and football. Whether it's at the ballpark, at the playground after school, or just in the driveway, I participated in many open and candid conversations about this community and how we can make it better. My promise to you is that if elected, I will always welcome these discussions because at the end of the day, my goal will always be to leave the city of Batavia on my last day in office better than my first. My name is Matt Anderson, and I'm running for Alderman, Ward 6. I kindly ask for your consideration and vote on April 1st.
Okay, so now our time is up for this forum. For more information, please visit the nonpartisan voter guide, illinoisvoterguide.org in March, the candidates' website, as well as the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County website. Your participation as a candidate and a voter is essential to preserving the democracy we hold dear. Please remember to vote on or before April 1st, as one vote can decide the election, and that one vote could be yours. So let's give these candidates a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you much, man.
Let's try it again. I'll just start.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been told that you couldn't hear me in the back. Is this better or no? More. How's this? Are we good? Okay. Welcome to the candidate forum put on by the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County. My name is Jan Dorner, and I'm from the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Providing this forum allows citizens to become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are happy to provide this service for the community. At this time, I would ask that you please turn off cell phones and other electronic devices. I would also ask that you refrain from applauding or in any other way demonstrating support or opposition of a candidate. No campaign literature may be passed out in this room. Note cards and pencils have been provided on which to submit your questions. Questions will be screened only for duplication, clarity, and appropriateness to the office being discussed. Please submit questions for all candidates participating in the forum. Please signal a League volunteer when your question is ready for submission. Also signal a volunteer if additional note cards are needed. Realize that we may not get to all questions. This forum is for those seeking to be Batavia mayor for a 4-year term. The candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth for this forum. They will each present a 1-minute introductory statement, the order determined alphabetically. Then questions will be asked and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond in alternating order. Closing statements and continuing alpha rotation will also be 1 minute. LWV Central Kane County members will keep time and candidates will strictly adhere to the time. Candidates, please notice the timers. When you see the stop sign, you may finish your sentence. Please don't make it a compound sentence. So let's start with candidate Tom Conley, your opening statement of 1 minute.
Good evening. My name is Tom Connolly, and along with my wife Samantha and our 2 young children, we live in Batavia. Thank you all for being here, and thank you to the League for organizing this event. I'm a husband, a father, and an attorney, and have been committed to being involved in our community through working and volunteering in our local government. I've previously served as 4th Ward Alderman on City Council. I've served previously as on the Board of Directors for the Chamber of Commerce, and I've served previously on the Board of Directors for TRICOM Central Dispatch. Today, I still serve our city as a commissioner on the Batavia Historic Preservation Commission. My work as an attorney involves litigating and advocating for my clients, which has given me communication, negotiation, and problem-solving skills that will serve me well as mayor. I also have leadership roles in the Kane County Bar Association and Illinois State Bar Association, and specifically in the Illinois State Bar Association, work with the legislation committee in the association's efforts in passing legislation and building relationships with state leaders. Those experiences make me well qualified to be Batavia's next mayor.
Thank you. Candidate Jeffrey Schelke, 1 minute.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. I've been here a number of times previously. I am now completing my 11th term as mayor of Batavia. I am tied for the longest serving mayor in office in the state of Illinois right now. There are 2 others, the mayor of Hillside and the mayor of Palos Hills. We all got elected on the same day in 1981. I just want to share the observation that you're in the room where the city council meets. And we have 14 elected aldermen in the city council. We have 7 wards and 2 from each ward. And the wards have to be kind of reapportioned every 10 years when the census comes out because you're supposed to keep the same number of equal number of people in each ward. Batavia, I think, has done a good job of that. And one of the things that really I think I would like to share is that when you're the mayor, this is a strong city council, weak mayor form of government. So the mayor has a job of kind of running the democracy, but the aldermen make the final decisions and do all the votes.
Thank you. Candidate Schilke, what is your vision for Batavia's future?
Well, I'm very proud of things that have been accomplished. When I got elected mayor in 1981, there was a lot of debate going on about whether the city should buy the property that we're in right now and what should become the future of this building and a whole bunch of other buildings that have since been torn down. We had another great fight going at that moment about building River Range Senior Citizen Retirement Community up to the north here. And I was a supporter of it. I'm glad I did because I look at now who's been able to move in there and live out their lives in security and dignity. And I think a lot of people who I see, I think would have had a hard time not having a place to go in their senior years had we not built that. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment. Batavia has a lot going on. We have a lot of problematic situations. Right now we have a lot of problems with technology being used in criminal activities that our police department's with. On the fire department side, we this month had 503 calls for the fire department, 80% were ambulance.
Thank you. Candidate Conley, your vision?
My vision for Batavia includes helping our downtown grow into a more attractive space. We have a lot of undeveloped land still in our downtown, and we also have properties in our main downtown district that remain vacant. My vision includes helping to be a leader to attract new development and new businesses to our downtown area that will help sustain the businesses that we already have here, and also mixed-use development to help bring residents that will live in our downtown area as well.
Thank you. Candidate Conley, a speed study recently was conducted and supported lowering the current 30 mile per hour to 25 mile per hour. 12 or more surrounding cities have 25 mile per hour speed limits. Do you support lowering the current speed limit from 30 to 25?
I do support lowering the speed limit from 30 to 25. As we heard earlier with the candidates for alderman, there needs to be more done than just lowering the speed limit and placing new signs. There should be traffic calming efforts to make sure that our streets are safe for pedestrians, for drivers, and for bikers. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Schilke.
Yes, I certainly have no problems in lowering the speed limit to 25, but I just would like to share that the City Council has recently approved a camera monitoring system for the downtown business district, and that will be put into place in the next few months. I think that's going to be a real eye-opener for a lot of people because whatever you do, whether you're riding a bicycle, a motorcycle, or a car, it's all going to be on film in downtown, and God forbid something happens, we're going to have a movie of it, and we're going to be able to show, and I would think that would cause a lot of people to be very cautious about how they're moving around town. Our police department, I feel, does a very good job. We've got a number of squads every day assigned to just kind of walk the troubled streets, and we move around and look for, or are being told where we know the streets are being badly violated by speed. And so we're doing our job, I like to feel, but you've got people who just got those cars and they want to drive as fast as they can go. Thank you.
Candidate Schilke, if you win the election, what will you do to keep the other candidate involved in Batavia?
Well, I mean, he served on the city council with us. He's done a very good job. He had to retire from that because he moved out of town for a couple months. So he got his new house built, and he's got his new house built. And so I trust he's planning to be here for a good number of years. And I think he could be a valuable resource to have in the town. I certainly am, whatever I appointed him to the Historic Preservation Commission. He does a real nice job on that. and I'm sure he could return to the city council or, keep his eyes open for other political opportunities. So he's somebody to watch.
Thank you. Candidate Conley, what would you do?
Well, there's no way to replace 40-plus years of experience, and that is something that Mayor Schilke has, which is an incredible asset to our city. As I mentioned, I think I bring the skill set and experience to build upon the relationships with state and other local leaders that Mayor Schilke has started, but I certainly would like to keep Mayor Schilke involved with the city, and would always plan on using him as a resource if he were open to me doing that, because his years of experience are very valuable.
Thank you. Candidate Conley, what role should the city play in assisting small businesses and startups, including potential tax incentives, grants, or financial tools?
I think the city should play a very strong role in helping our businesses prosper here. That is the main reason that I have gotten involved in our local government, and the main reason that I'm seeking this office is to help the businesses that are in our downtown improve and prosper so they can be here for a long time and help attract new businesses. And so we should be proactive in helping attract new businesses, and not just be more passive and hoping that businesses come here and come to the development sites, but we need to be proactive in attracting the right type of development and the right type of businesses to come here and help the businesses we already have.
Thank you. Candidate Schilke.
I think Batavia's done a pretty good job of attracting new businesses. Out on Randall Road, there was no Randall Road in 1981 when I got elected mayor. It was being talked about, it was being debated, but there was no business yet to be built out there. So I've overseen the construction of whatever you got out there, and it's a lot of square footage. And when I was first elected, the sales tax for the city on a yearly basis was about $550,000. And I believe this year it's probably about 8 million. And that's one of the reasons we've been able to keep our municipal tax rate down below $1. I believe our rate right now is about 74 cents. And when I was elected, it was $1.05. So we've been able to lower it because we have all this new revenue. But I share Tom's view that we really do need to do some support in bringing some of the smaller businesses into the downtown area. And we've been doing that with some TIF district monies and other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Schilke. Batavia has hired the Bradel Group to prepare an energy study called an Integrated Resource Plan. Explain how you will commit to actively make certain that Batavians have multiple opportunities to provide input into the writing of this plan and the recommendation it makes about the Prairie State Coal Plant and alternative energy sources.
Well, I would be the first one to tell you that I think that closely needs to be watched. When Prairie State was originally proposed, and I was just talking to some folks in the audience about this when I got up here. I was the mayor then, and I did not support it. There's a story about the mayor not supporting what the city council was doing and going to Prairie State, and that's out there for everybody to read if they want to. But I think that needs to be closely watched. We've got a situation there now where our electric rates are lower than if we were on Commonwealth Edison, because Prairie State is selling us the power a little bit lower. But there's still a lot of issues that are floating around there, and we needed to bring in Brattle to kind of give us an insider's view of some people that know the business and know what's going on, and be able to call whatever the proposals are, whether they're going to work or not, or what impacts are going to be on Batavia, because the members of the city council sitting here are not qualified to do that, in my opinion.
Thank you. Candidate Conley.
I agree with Mayor Schilke that does need to be closely watched. One thing I will vow to do if elected mayor is to make sure that the city communicates better with the community about what issues are coming up at future meetings and have a timeline of when these items are going to be discussed so that they're not just kind of thrown out onto people when an agenda comes out on a Thursday or Friday and the meeting and the important vote is that following week. There is also a significant issue with Prairie State and NIMPA with transparency, and I will work to make that as big of a transparent of a process as possible moving forward as well. Thank you.
Thanks. Candidate Conley, what are your ideas to promote the economy in our community, including living wage, affordable housing, and job opportunities for all?
Affordable housing is certainly an issue that many community faces, and Batavia certainly does face that. I would plan to have affordable housing not only for low-income individuals, but also to attract young residents new to our town, and also to help older residents who to be able to stay here. Sometimes we lose older residents because after their downsizing, they can't afford to stay in our town. Also, I would also plan to encourage and seek out businesses that are going to house more employees in our downtown area and make it an area where we have more people here during the day utilizing our restaurants and our retail for lunch, which can sometimes be a dead period for our downtown businesses.
Thank you. Candidate Schilke.
Well, the whole question of affordable housing is probably a challenge that has no answer to it, in my opinion, given the fact that there's a number of people that buy into Batavia maybe 10, 15 years ago because they thought it was affordable. And now they want to sell their house, but they want to sell it and make a lot of money because the appreciation of it has gone up. So we did some affordable housing maneuvers a few years ago out on West Wilson Street on the site of the former water tower that was there right to the west of Batavia High School. And when we put those up, there was an agreement about how much you could pay for the house. And now I had one person that bought one call me and say, well, gee, I've lived here now and I see the house is worth a lot more than what I paid for it, so I should be able to make the money that that's worth. And the agreement that he had signed didn't probably make that easy for him to do that. So that's an ongoing question, and I think it's maybe a good problem for us to have because it shows that the value of housing in Batavia is going up. So.
Thank you. Candidate Schilke. What successful ideas have you seen neighboring communities do to increase foot traffic and support downtown businesses?
Well, I think certainly the Batavia Main Street and the Batavia Chamber of Commerce are two very strong organizations. I don't feel they've ever been as strong as they are now under the leadership we have. And they're doing a lot to help promote what the virtues of Batavia are. And the buying power of the Batavia community, given all the new housing that's appearing and the incomes of those folks, is setting the stage for people that move into downtown Batavia with a business do have the audience that should be there to help keep that business going, because we do have a lot going on here. I feel that Batavia is a place that is safe. It's from a crime standpoint. And we have one of the lower crime rates in the area, although we are watched upon and targeted by a bunch of the folks from outside of us that see all the opportunities that are here. And so they'll come in and search the neighborhoods and try to find if there's a car unlocked or a store that's not looking. And we have a bad theft problem at some of the Randall Road stores where people go in and just start shopping without paying.
Thank you. Candidate Conley.
I would certainly echo that we are blessed to have great community organizations like the Chamber of Commerce and Main Street. And I believe the question was what other communities in our area, what we admire about something they have done. And what I have seen in other communities near here is that the city works more closely with and in a more collaborative fashion with organizations that serve its community, like Main Street and the Chamber of Commerce. And as mayor, I would always be constantly striving to collaborate with those organizations that help our businesses and help our residents. And that is something I've seen in our neighboring communities that I do admire.
Candidate Conley, as mayor, how do you build relationships with other governmental bodies?
It's about getting out there and attending events. I would immediately upon being elected would contact our local leaders, whether it be mayors of neighboring cities or our local King County leaders, not only just our representatives from Batavia, but throughout Kane County, and connecting with individuals at the state level and build those relationships. While I was on council, I was honored and blessed with the opportunity to travel with other members of City Council down to Springfield, where we started to build those types of relationships with other local leaders and with state leaders, and I would work to continue to build those types of relationships.
Thank you. Candidate Shilkey.
Yes, very good question. I think I do a good job of trying to reach out for Batavia to understand itself and understand those who are working within it. During the month of this past November, I attended 23 different meetings or events or parties or receptions as the mayor. And so it gives you an idea of sometimes how many times during a month the mayor can be called upon to come out of City Hall and go out into the community and do stuff. I proudly attend all the Batavia Chamber of Commerce ribbon cuttings when they have a new business, and I go and give a little speech about the property and whatever, and that seems to go over very good. I also go out with Main Street and walk around the downtown and get to know new businesses. And so I really feel like I'm out there trying to do the stuff that needs to be done to get the people in the community to know the city and to know the mayor and have a broader understanding about what life in this town is all about. And it's a good story to tell, and I'm very proud of that. Thank you.
Candidate Shilkey, with demands from our federal government to have ICE in and around Chicago, what is your stance on protecting nonviolent illegal immigrants from any ICE raids that may happen in Batavia?
Well, we do not go out and look for people that are illegal immigrants. Sometimes they fall in front of us, but we're not out searching for it. I was called into a meeting with Mayor Johnson in Chicago as one of the leading suburban mayors and had quite a conversation with him about it. And at the time, he wanted all the immigrants to be brought into Chicago because he needed to help repopulate the city. Now they've kind of slowed that down and changed it. But we have in Batavia, I think, the opportunity if some people move in. I am aware of several Ukrainian folks that have moved into Batavia and they're working as senior citizen helpers in homes. And that's a good job for them, and they do a nice job, and I think help people quite a bit. So I'm very pleased that we do have some folks, and we're not out trying to hassle anybody off the street or whatever. We don't have a lot of them, but there are some. Thank you.
Candidate Conley.
First and foremost, as mayor, my main concern would always be the safety of our residents, to make sure that this was a safe place to live and to own a business. The city would have to act responsibly to any issues that it faced. And as a municipality, we'd be required to follow federal law. And this issue is really, although it does affect us at a local level, the control over these types of issues is really at the higher levels of government. But with that said, I would constantly be working to communicate with county and state and federal leaders so that we know what is going on in our community and can communicate that clearly to our residents.
Thank you. Candidate Conley, how will you demonstrate leadership in advocating for protecting and uplifting marginalized or underrepresented community members, including people of color, people with disabilities, gender, and LGBTQ community?
I think one of the more important roles as mayor is to be an advocate for the community, and that includes all those marginalized members of our community that you mentioned. I mentioned at the outset that I am an attorney. I am a plaintiff's personal injury attorney, and many times I am, representing an individual against a large corporation. And so I am very well versed in protecting the rights of individuals and advocating for them. And as mayor, that would be no different. I would intend to advocate for all members of our community, especially those that feel marginalized, because those are the ones that need an advocate most.
Thank you. Candidate Chilke.
Yeah, the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, of which I'm an officer in there, it does studies on all the cities in the region as to what their demographics are. And Batavia is cited as one of the better ones as far as everybody of any race, religion, color, or creed probably is living in our neighborhoods. It's probably one of the better integrated communities in the entire region, that we got all these folks in here, and it's a great thing to have, and we, I think, do a good job with it. Batavia has the opportunity, I think, moving forward here to do some stuff that will help kind of bring the city even further along and be the example for the rest of the region as to how to treat and understand people. And we've got the history behind us to say that we've done that in the past, and I would hope that we would continue that. And certainly, if you look at the history of the elected bodies in our community, we've had probably folks of almost every race, religion, color, and nationality at some time or been a member of one of our elected bodies. So I'm very proud of that also. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Schilke. Batavia is home to families who have been part of its history for generations. How do you suggest we make sure we maintain our strength by welcoming newcomers into the city's culture?
Well, I think we do that by just the way we are. We have a very strong church community in Batavia right now. Some of them are stronger than others, but we do have a good selection of churches. And we do have within the school system a very strong, I think, understanding of how all this work comes together. And I've talked to other mayors in the area that don't have this, and this is a very problematic situation in a lot of places, and I'm not going to name names, but we are one of the models of how to do things and how to do it right, and I'm very proud of that fact. I've had probably half a dozen mayors in here in the last year wanting to ride Batavia and understand how we got to where we are and have the nice community that we do have.
Candidate Conley.
Batavia certainly does have a long and rich history, and we're blessed to have so many families and residents that have been here for multi-generations, and I think that is one of our biggest strengths, and it makes us a very proud community and a very invested community. With that said, it's important for the city to welcome newcomers, and myself, I was a newcomer to this city. I wasn't born and raised here, but when my wife and I were looking for a place to settle down and raise our kids, we fell in love with Batavia, and we want others to experience exactly what we did. And so I would try to attract multi-use developments in our downtown that will hopefully bring affordable housing for young people to come here and start their adult life in Batavia.
Thank you. Candidate Conley, how do we mitigate the traffic congestion on the Wilson Street Bridge if we continue to increase population?
That's a very good question, and traffic congestion on Wilson Street Bridge is always something that is discussed. I will say, in my observations of it, I think it is at certain times of the day and on certain days. Weekday, school time or rush hour, and then Saturday certainly when we have a lot of people here enjoying the farmers market and the boardwalk shops and things like that. I think we can do a better job working with the state to see if maybe we can get the lights moving in a better fashion. Sometimes they don't always appear moving in the right order. But I think that it's not an issue that affects us on a day-long, everyday basis. It's really more at a very congested area.
Thank you. Candidate Chilke.
Well, I've had the opportunity, because of my longtime involvement here, to have a number of conversations with IDOT about traffic in Batavia and numbers, and our numbers have increasingly gone up, as you've just mentioned. And it seems to be us as a community that we have, most people own 2 or 3 cars, and if you go to their house, they've got multiple cars around. So we've got our own little situation going here. I had the experience that Batavia High School allows a whole bunch of kids to drive their car to school. And I can tell the story. I was in the first class that opened the new school in 1967. And I was one of the drivers, and there was 26 car permits to drive to Batavia High School that year. And my police department now goes out and counts them on a regular basis. And then this time of year at Batavia High School now, there's well over 600 cars parked on every side street and whatever. So we've got a lot of traffic internally within ourselves. So I think the problem begins right here in town.
Thank you. This is our last question. Candidate Schilke, will you continue to support raising the pride flag during Pride Month?
Well, as I said earlier, this community is known for its openness, and we have every race, religion, color, and creed here. I just think it's a natural thing for Batavia to do it. I've been out here for the last 2 or 3 years where they have a ceremony on the week that they do it, and I stand there and watch it go up, and then it's up for the month, and we take it down, and it's just the way it is. I don't have any particular reason not to want to do it. I'm all for it as far as it represents a passion of some of the folks that live in this town, and I think we want to recognize and honor everybody that's here and proudly calls Batavia their home.
Thank you. Candidate Conley.
I couldn't agree with Mayor Schilke more. Raising the pride flag in June was something that I supported on my time on council, and something I still support and have attended to several times in the past as well. I think this is a very welcoming community, and that can always be improved. And I would, as mayor, I would seek to make sure that this is a community that everyone felt comfortable living and working in.
Thank you. Let's go to our closing statements, and we'll start with Candidate Conley.
Once again, thank you all for being here and for the league organizing it. I do appreciate residents being involved, concerned, and devoted to bettering our community, and that's something that I will seek to strengthen as mayor to keep as many residents involved as possible. And I'd like to thank Mayor Schilke for being here tonight, but also for his long devoted career as being the mayor for over 40 years of this city. I do believe our community is at a juncture in which we'd benefit from new leadership that will be equipped to address and respond to the ever-changing challenges that the future will bring and the changing needs of our residents both now and in the future. And I hope to be that leader for Batavia. If you're interested in learning more about me or my campaign, you can visit my website, tom4batavia.com, or email the campaign at tom4batavia@gmail.com, and also check out the campaign on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you again, and I hope I have earned some of your votes in consideration, and remember to vote on or before April 1st. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Schilke.
Likewise, I would like to, number one, thank all of you in the audience who have come tonight, and also thank all those who may be watching this on TV. I believe we're on, are we not? And so that's a strength of Batavia is that I find in many of the neighboring communities, they don't have the access to government that we seem to be able to provide in Batavia, and that's one of the true strengths of it. And I take a lot of pride in the fact that we have this government going in this direction. Batavia as a community is one that is very, very endowed and blessed with the people that we have living here. And we don't have many bad guys. We got a lot of them sneaking around here at night trying to figure out what they can steal or do from us, but our police department raises real strong success and guardianship around us. So I'm very confident that that's done. And I'm just here to pledge that if I'm reelected again, we will continue to do the job that we do to keep Batavia the nice, family-oriented, open community that it truly has become. Thank you.
Thank you. Our time is up for this forum. Thank you to the City of Batavia for once again affording the League the opportunity to host tonight's candidate forum. Thank you to BATV for being available to live stream and tape our League events. Thanks, Audrey. Additionally, we will be hosting a forum on February 9th at the Geneva Library beginning at 12:15 for the candidates running in contested races for City Council and Mayor. For more information, please visit the Nonpartisan Voter Guide, illinoisvoterguide.org in March, the candidates' websites, as well as the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County website. Your participation as a candidate and as a voter is essential to preserving the democracy we hold dear. Please remember to vote on or before April 1st, as one vote can decide the election, and that one vote could be yours. Let's give the candidates an applause.